It's Thursday afternoon. It's about 1:20. Um, going to probably be a shorter live talk today. Nothing planned. Thought about doing another book review. We're actually doing a book review of the one that I did yesterday, a review of the review, so to speak. But more so, just to have it in one concise spot that people could go to and see in a very short. And I still might do that later today, but I decided not to do it now. Um, and instead, just come here live and wing it, see where the conversation goes, if anyone pops up. But again, I'm going to try to keep it about 20 minutes. So I will probably begin by talking about my own yoga practice. When I say yoga, I'm being all inclusive because yoga is all inclusive. There's generally what's referred to as the 8 limbs of yoga, and then even within the broader aspect of yoga, there's as described in the Bhagavad Gita, and that should be subject of a book review. The different. Hey, Lewis, how are you? I appreciate you showing up. Um, Talking a little bit about yoga, and hey, I was wondering, Lewis. Lewis is it is what it is, by the way. Um, when do you start your hibernation program? I'm doing pretty good as well, thanks. Because I was thinking actually, in your hibernation phase of your yearly training, that might be a good time to do some yoga, some meditation, just some things that are different than the hardcore, high intensity stuff that you're doing now. Although I'm going to assume that you're going to have to, if your race is in June, I guess if you start training in January, you'll have plenty of time. Uh, so no need to really jump into it right now. So, I was saying that when I talk about yoga, I'm really speaking broadly because there's just so much involved. We think of it as what we see as stretching, but of course, it's actually more than stretching. The 8 limbs of yoga, you have the ethics, two things that I've been describing the past couple of weeks, yamas and yamas, and you have pranayama, which is breath work, which I'm always talking about, and then you have the asanas, the physical posture, and then you have the means of meditation to take you to samadhi, which is that bliss consciousness, that enlightened sense of consciousness. It is what it is, says, answering my question about his. Let me backtrack. For those who don't know, it is what it is, has a very unusual but obvious for him, very effective approach to his training, where he is training. Usually, I believe he picks it up around January, somewhere around there, and eases into it. But by spring, I'm guessing, because I remember seeing his videos in late spring, no, early spring, and he was already rocking it and already in good shape. And then he takes it all the way there. So, and then he takes a few months off. I think, most of fall through winter. So here was his answer when I asked him when he was going to start. He's saying, it's up in the air, and not like I have a date, it just happens. But I do want to start doing yoga. Seems like it would benefit me a lot. It definitely would. In just so many ways. Not just physically on a very deep level, but also it just keeps us emotionally even, at peace, especially if it's a full spectrum yoga plan. and he's saying that yes, January should be fine. It's when I started last time. I did it in January. And he goes on saying that he's thinking late January is when he would go into his layoff period. You have one more vacation coming up next weekend. Good. It definitely. You got a good month ahead then. Tomorrow's the first day of September. Some hard training going in. When you start your before you start your layoff, let me know, and I'll give you a hand with the yoga program. One of the things I've been talking about on my Instagram live sessions, and I talked about a little last week as well, micro sessions, micro workouts. We don't have to do, I have a 2-hour yoga workout coming up over the weekend. I don't want to say yoga workout. I have a 2-hour yoga session, and it's part of my teacher's course, which is why I'm going to do it. But generally speaking, my yoga, I do it first thing in the morning, right after I meditate. That's right about 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe a little bit before. I'm up at 3:30 every morning. And then that's about 20 minutes total. It's just to ease me into the day. It's almost, it's a prayerful, mindful part of my meditation. And I'm not trying to do anything physically challenging at all. Then in my afternoon session, late morning, early afternoon, I just finished it actually. I do a longer, more involved session. And I'm practicing Hatha Yoga, which I talked about in my training video, where you're holding a posture a certain length of time, and then you go into another posture that is designed to keep you relaxed. Allow the previous posture to actually sink into the body, sink into the mind, sink into the energy system, and do its job. Instead of going into a flow, one move into the next, you're doing a posture, a restful posture, a posture, a restful posture, and you go through the entire session that way. Which, when you think about it, is what Lewis is doing with his training approach. He's easing into it. Then he's going all out for a couple of months, actually more than a couple of months. And then he relaxes, allows his body to heal. It is what it is. Says that December is my favorite. Every weekend is a party at my mom's house, and the food is amazing. That's when I gain weight. Yeah, party at mom's actually sounds pretty fun. I was thinking you might say November was your favorite because you're, being a Raiders fan, you're at the peak of football season, getting ready for, big Thanksgiving football weekend. And Thanksgiving, yeah. It is what it is. Says, well, Thanksgiving is when it starts. That's true. Yeah. Thanksgiving is basically, there you got Christmas season right at its beginning. We got, about a week before football season starts? I haven't been following along for quite some time, but we should be some preseason games now, right? College football should be starting as well. It is what this says. I can't wait for football. Definitely steaks coming. Steaks in a 6-pack. Funny. I would go to watch Monday Night Football in bars for years. And if you ask me who was playing, I couldn't tell you at all. I don't know if I have ever even looked at the TV the entire time, but everything else about being in a bar for Monday Night Football, I absolutely loved. Best part of the week for me. That was before they actually had Thursday Night Football. Imagine imagine how much enjoyment I would get Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football. Lewis is asking, do I have time off, Eric? No, I haven't taken a day off of anything that I do. But other than that, my life is fairly easy. I had my own business, my own training business, that actually did pretty well. It wasn't huge, but I made a comfortable living. But I became a caregiver for my father, and then when COVID came along, I couldn't go train anyone at their houses. I couldn't bring anyone to my home gym. Just wasn't safe for my father. That pretty much shut down my business, and I put everything into keeping my father safe, keep him as healthy as possible for as long as possible, and then when he was dying, it was to make sure that he died at home. I didn't want him being in a hospital. I didn't want him, even when he went to the hospital, we got him home as quick as was safe, as quick as we could. It is what it is. Says you're a great man, Eric. Thanks. But you know what? It's what any son would do, or it's what any son should do. When I couldn't take care of myself, my dad and my mom, they took care of me. Then it was my turn. It's just what you do. It's how families work. And I've always been close to my dad. So it was the very least I could do. But afterwards, when he passed away, I just didn't feel like I emotionally had the energy to start my business again. And I'd have to go out, some clients moved away. It just didn't seem plausible at the time. So right now, I teach meditation. I do breath work, coach. I make some money from my blog, from my writing. My house is paid for. I have my father's house, and my brother and I are actually sharing it. So even the utilities are split. So it's a really simple, easy way of life, of living. I'm pretty blessed. I absolutely nothing to complain about at all. So if you hear me complaining, remind me I have absolutely nothing to complain about at all. And so it allows me to go full bore into my yoga practice. I'm basically on a monk-like existence that I wake up, I meditate, I do yoga. I'm out the door before the sun comes up to walk. I get in a morning dose of nature, getting in that early. I'm there when the sun's coming up. I get that early dose of sunlight hitting my eyes to help create those healthy hormones that we need. And then I'm back inside. I got my writing done. I do my workout. I go for another walk and run with Mocha and our dog Misty. And then I got more yoga. I come here and I talk. I do some work. I set up programs, meditation programs for people and everything. And then I meditate again, and basically I start ending my day. Some might say like a cloistered life. Exactly what I need right now. Exactly how I sort of need to heal from being with my dad when he was passing away. It was a long, I guess about a 6-month period, a steep decline, where he went from being healthy, strong at 91 to 92 actually, to He was 93 when he passed away. And those last 6 months, it was such a surprise, a shock to him, to myself. He had congestive heart failure, but he worked out every day. The thing is, though, when it hit hard, it just was such a steep, and it took a lot out of everyone who was here. So to answer your question, a long-winded way of answering your question. No, I work out every day, 365 days a year, and I have for ever, through everything that I've ever done. When I was ultra running, I ran every day, plus I lifted kettlebells. When I did kettlebell sport, I would train kettlebells 7 days a week. I would run after my kettlebell workout, and then I would do Bikram yoga for 90 minutes every day. I'm not saying that's the way to do it, or even a smart way. It's just I feel better being in motion, working out every day. Not that every day is an all-out session, which I think is key. But here's a funny thing with my father. When he was 91, he came out of the hospital after having pneumonia. A couple days later, he came into my office and said he was having pains side of his stomach. And I said, well, maybe we should go to the emergency room. And he said, no, if it's still bothering him tomorrow, we'll go to the doctor. He'll make an appointment. And I was pretty insistent and said, if it hurts, let's go. Let's go to the emergency room now. And we went, and it turned out he had a septic gallbladder. And they took him in immediately, and we're going to operate. On the way to the operation room, his gallbladder burst. And the doctor said, 91, burst gallbladder, that's septic. He'll be lucky to survive. A couple days later, maybe 2 days later, in the hospital room, Milka, my ex-wife, goes to visit him, and he is out of his hospital bed. He's walking laps around the hospital room, and he looks at Milka and he smiles and says, you got to stay in motion. That's the lesson. You got to stay in motion. It is what this is amazing, and it really was, that he was just able to bounce back, one, so quickly from pneumonia, and that wasn't his first bout with it, and then having that happen. And this is all after he had a stroke about 10 years previously. But he just kept recovering. He kept working out. He did resistance bands and dumbbells, and he walked every day. When he could no longer walk on his own, and he was in a wheelchair his last few days, I would help him from the wheelchair, and we had a track set up going down the hallway, through the kitchen, around the kitchen, back down the hallway, and we would do that every day. Getting out of the wheelchair, walk a couple laps, back in the wheelchair, and then he would do his dumbbell and band workout. And this was before the physical therapist would show up and put him through another workout. So even when he had congestive heart failure, we thought, even his doctor said, I see no reason why you're not going to make it to 100. But for whatever reason, at 93, it just took a turn on its own. So I guess I sort of inherited that you got to stay in motion. And if I stop, that's when everything catches up with me. Take a day off, and I start noticing, my shoulders aren't as healthy as they used to be. My lower back, is a little stiff and sore. My left knee is troublesome. My left elbow. But when I'm moving, don't notice a thing, especially when I'm doing stuff like yoga and everything. So yeah, I generally don't take days off, and I could say, it's been that way since my 20s. Even in my drinking days, Friday night, we'd hit the bar hard. Saturday morning, squat day, trash can next to the squat rack. If you can't make it to the bathroom, you got the trash can right there. You get your squat workout in. You do what you're supposed to do, be it a workout, be it taking care of your parents when they need you, being there for your wife, even if hey Mocha, she just popped in. I was just going to mention what we were talking about at the mechanic, your time in Iraq, actually. And I was going to say, you be there for the people you care about when they need you, which is why when you went to Iraq, it was my time to be there. You were there in service for your country. It was my turn to be there of service for you and for Anika. It is what it is. Says, yes, oh my God, one day off is crazy even for me. I swear day two, I feel I haven't worked out for months. Yeah, that's the way I feel. It's so much easier to stay in motion than it is to start again. He says that he will be 40 this December, so I'm feeling different. Yeah, I felt pretty good at 40. I felt pretty good at 50. I think I mentioned before that about 2 weeks after my 50th birthday is when I got my first 100-mile race after 3 failed attempts. I think my first was at age 47, and then I did one right after that. Mocha McCarty says pop. Does that mean you're drinking pop? And she says, I always appreciate what you did for me and the kid. Again, it was, for one, it was definitely easier than what you were doing. I had a full support system with me, plus, pretty easy kid to take care of. All things considered, across the board, it was, I've always enjoyed all the time I've ever spent. It is what it is. Asks, how do I feel about chiropractors? I like them. I've only been a couple times. Mocha is a massage therapist, by the way. Oh, Mocha McCarty said, she said pop because I said that she popped in, which is true. Funny how much I miss. I would probably benefit quite a bit from a chiropractor. I think they would immediately help my back, which is probably slightly misaligned. One of my shoulder, my left shoulder, it sits higher than my right. So probably the hip, low back area is misaligned, and I would immediately benefit probably from going to a chiropractor. I'd like to see an acupuncturist because of the pain in my jaw. I have a misaligned shoulder, a misaligned jaw. That probably tells you way too much about how misaligned I actually am in life. But with the mouth, it's misaligned. It also have arthritis there. So there's quite a bit of pain at times. Should they say discomfort, actually? Occasional pain, frequent discomfort, almost always. I do some things for it. I have a little, I should do a review on this. It's a Jawzrsize. I won't demonstrate it, but you bite down on it, and it's resistance training for the jaw, and it's actually helped quite a bit relieve some of the pain. I don't do any. I was offered pain medication, but I do Advil as needed. Didn't want to do the having gone through some addictive phases in my life. I have no desire to mess around with that again. If I needed it, absolutely, short term, but you get by. It is what it is. Says he has one too. My wife makes fun of me when I use them. Yeah, it's pretty weird looking, actually. But again, it's effective. I have two of them. I have a light one, and then this is the medium one. I thought about getting the heavy duty one. I read a review. Someone actually sprained a tooth using one, so I decided not to get the heavy duty one. Spraining a tooth sounds pretty odd, but no more odd than the fact that I jammed my finger doing yoga yesterday. There's freak things that seem to happen from time to time to all of us. So, yeah, so Lewis, definitely when it's time for you to take your sabbatical, let me know. And, I was talking about the micro workouts for yoga and other stuff. My day's pretty involved in yoga, but it doesn't have to be that way for everyone. 20-minute routine in the morning. You could break it down to 15. Honestly, you could break it down to 10 and do something twice a day, hitting different parts of the body, and amazing results, actually, physically as well as emotionally and everything else. So, speaking of afternoon micro mini sessions, my afternoon meditation session is coming up. So I'm going to cut things short for the day, coming up on the half-hour mark. It is what it is. Says he will definitely do that, Eric. Awesome. It'll also help your running as well as the recovery from running. So it'll have you even more ready for your upcoming race. And it's something that you could do along with your wife too, if she's interested in any way. So, all right, guys, going to end it here for today, and I'll see everyone tomorrow for morning burpees. Tomorrow's going to be the mixed session. So I got some pull-ups, I got some dips, I got some burpees, whatever else I feel like throwing in. I feel like I need one more thing in that mixed program, but I'm not sure what it is. I was throwing in some kettlebell stuff for a while, just because I missed it. I missed doing all the kettlebell work. So maybe I'll put that back in. We'll see. If anyone has suggestions, put them in the comment box, and we'll talk about it next time. All right, guys. So I will see you tomorrow. Lewis, thank you as well. You have a good day. And see you. Bye, Mocha.